Alright, so the Gunslinger build has been less than interesting as I got through the game. As you can see, I got to the one Reborn, and I found out that you can actually apply fire paper and bolt paper to the rapier gun. I had no idea that was even a thing. Usually whenever something's mixed physical or bloodtitch scaling, it's its own thing. But as you can about to see here, you're about to see kind of how this whole build's been going so far. If that wasn't a summary of what's to come, then nothing else will work. At this point, I believe I have 30, 30, 30 skill, strength, and bloodtitch. I probably could have put that to more towards bloodtitch if I went 25, 25 strength and skill. But to be frank, I don't think that's going to be a big difference. The cannon and the Evelyn are still arguably the best weapons for this build, but in all frank honesty, I believe it's not optimal anymore. This was definitely an early game build. Its strength was more than anything in the early game, but at this point it's just needlessly difficult. I get what I want from this boss fight. Pop some beast pellets and kill the thing within like 5 seconds. Okay, I lied. So with Penkala, you kind of see where the build really shines. But unfortunately, this was a super situational boss. Its head being the main weak point, that it's vulnerable to any sort of range attack, kind of gave me a really big advantage. And on top of that, I think at this point I was already over leveled. To go for a jump attack, I'm pretty sure I meant to shoot the gun, but I put it forward at the same time. The damage I'm doing to this thing right now is not what you see in future bosses. I'm just way over leveled for this boss fight. I don't know why I forgot to dodge. And that's that. So here was where everything really started to go downhill. I had to fight this Undead Giant at least 3-4 times before I finally got the killing video clip here. Before I see that, spinning attack is the bane of this build's existence. This gun, as a weapon, as a melee weapon, having no physical range, it was very dependent on me getting up close to get some swings in. But with that spin attack it does, the chains on its back constantly hit me regardless if I dodged. So I'm thinking, okay, now would be a really appropriate time to just keep a distance. If it's going to keep spinning every time I get close to it, just keep shooting it from a safe distance. Well, unfortunately, this boss has a giant health pool. As you just saw there, the cannon barely did anything. But I stick with it anyways. Just keep a, I don't know, 30-meter distance away from it, keep popping bone marrow ash, and yeah, R2, L2, R2, L2. This fight took forever. So I beckoned some guys over at the Chalice Dungeon for ROM. I want to see how this build does as a, I guess you can say, backgrounds and DPS support. It worked. I guess you can say it worked. Wait for these guys to get the Spire's attention, that way I can go straight for ROM. Pop a bold paper, because I forgot I can do that again. And just watch how much damage this +9 rapier does. Not terrible, but just bleh. So after we clear the spiders, we just bomb rush ROM. I keep a distance, try to initiate, but I just leave it to the guys back there. So once again, L2, R2, L2, R2. Trying not to be the main DPS, not like I even could. And yeah, those guys just go to work on ROM. So it's an effective support build, but actually no, it's not effective, it's below effective. It's helpful, but it's not needed. So, in my first video I mentioned how this build is a NPC slayer. Well, these two NPCs pretty much found every crack to the build there was. This is the clip where I got them, but this fight took me at least 7 tries. And as you can probably guess from the one using the magic here, they're both so passive-aggressive that it makes the build really, really flawed. Even as I lay into this one here, the one in the back with the sword still taking her time getting to me. This is a problem because I can't really take advantage of over-aggressiveness to get parries. Instead, what they keep doing is just backing away and dodging. These are really high difficulty NPCs to begin with, but this build just, it made it even more difficult, unnecessarily difficult, especially if you're trying to stick to the whole Gunslinger, prop about it. You're just gonna have a bad time. Finally, we have Lady Maria. This fight was honestly amazing, but if I had any other build, it wouldn't have taken as long. You would think a boss that's vulnerable to Viscerals would be cake against this kind of build, but unfortunately, Lady Maria has very selective parry frames, I guess you can call it. Sometimes her sub attack is parryable, sometimes it's not. Sometimes she hyper armors through the bullet. It's really sporadic. I couldn't really land too many parries. The ones you're seeing in the beginning here is when it's the easiest, but when she goes into her second and third phase, it's borderline, not impossible, but just really difficult to gun spam for a parry. Which is kind of a good thing, because it makes the boss fight from getting too easy or satirical. But I'm just going to leave the rest of the boss fight here, because it was really damn clinch.
shrouded mine idol with steady stride.